everyone. Welcome to the SolarButterfly studio. We are in Scheveningen Beach here in The Hague in the Netherlands. Our first stop in the Netherlands, our third country on our world tour. Very, very excited to meet Sam and Hajar.
Yes.
These are two young, represent for us the future of climate protection in the Netherlands, in The Hague. So let's get into it. Hajar, tell me a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so glad to be here. I was a youth representative for the Netherlands towards the United Nations, which meant that for 2 long years, I got to gather the input from Dutch youth and bring it to the UN to make sure that their voices are being heard.
Wow, and I was asking you earlier, did you have the feeling that you were able to influence the people you were talking to, the so-called adults?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's also a tricky question, right? Because sometimes, honestly, I did not. I also had instances where, I went into the UN with these great expectations of giving a speech and then, everyone coming up and being like, tell us more, how do we implement this, how do we go about this? But that did not always happen. On the other hand, I did see that we were able to realize something. So we were able to get more youth delegate programs in countries that did not have a program. So we were able to make sure that more young people were being included in discussions about international topics such as the climate crisis that we're in, human rights, security, and those sorts of topics, yeah.
So when you started there, the youth representatives were more from, let's say, European countries, and by the time you finished, you saw more youth representatives from some of the other countries around the world.
For sure. So it was like really a collective effort of the existing youth delegates, which was indeed mostly from Western Europe, so more privileged countries, which is such a shame because the entire program was created to create more equality, right? To have more representation, but then in essence, you're actually creating new inequalities when the only youth that is being represented at the UN is youth from Western European countries. But we ended up getting programs in India, for example, that to this day still exist. We had new youth delegates from Latin American countries, Albania, Estonia. So that's one of the things that we're very happy that we were able to bring about.
Very cool. Sam, so tell me a little bit. You're quite active in politics here.
Yeah, I'm elected in the local council, so I'm in politics as one of the youngest there. And next to that job, I'm a climate activist with Extinction Rebellion.
Extinction Rebellion. Okay, so you said one of the youngest. How young or old are you?
Yeah, I'm 24, and there's one other 24-year-old, but after that, it's all mid-30s.
Okay.
All the way to retirement age, for sure.
On the council, how many people are on the council?
In my town, 31.
31.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
And so, in your work there, how do you integrate thoughts about climate protection?
So what I've been seeing is that change needs to happen on a systematic level, on a society-wide level, and so change can happen from the side of policy making, the side of politics, and society, just us having conversations about it. And obviously, I was having plenty of those conversations in my daily life. But I thought, I want a seat at the table and vote on some stuff.
Yeah. Earlier, you were mentioning something about how now people are coming to you and asking you about climate work, your view on things.
Yeah.
I think that's related maybe to your other job. But maybe we can move Extinction Rebellion. Extinction Rebellion.
Yes.
What is that about?
Yeah, so that's an international network of climate activists. It's really grassroots, so it's not like I'm a member or anything. You can't be a member.
Okay.
But we use civil disobedience, meaning that you break the law in non-violent ways to disrupt the system. Because if this could have been solved with a petition, it would have happened already. We've moved past petitions now, so we block roads and that type of stuff to really get media attention out there for the climate crisis.
What's a recent example of an event or activity you did?
So, for example, last month in the city of Rotterdam, close by here, we disrupted the entire city for a whole week. Blocking roads, being in lobbies of big corporations, stuff like that. And we got quite a lot of press attention and attention from national politics as well.
Wow. Maybe because I'm just curious, also love what you do, Sam. And so how do you look at the effective way to go about being a climate activist. Because on the one hand, you're within the institutions, you know, within the municipality.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you're also using civil disobedience and very rebellious ways to.
Yeah, that's definitely a delicate balance, and I wouldn't do a disruptive action against the municipality I work for, but it's clear to me that we need both. And one can't go without the other. So there's a lot of politicians that would want to make certain changes, but they don't feel like there's enough support from the general public. And this is a very clear way of showing, no, the general public cares about the climate crisis.
Yeah.
We want to see change and we want to see it fast. So if these politicians do it, we're there for it and we're not going to drop our vote because this is what we want. And so they can help each other.
That's the point, right? I mean, also what you said about wanting to have a seat at the table. I remember one of the first conferences I had at the UN, there was actually an older man, a diplomat, and he came up to me and my colleague, my other youth representative colleague, and he literally told us, you know what, I appreciate the fact that you're here, but I think it would be better if you young people wait until you're a bit grown up to start meddling into these discussions.
Yeah.
But that's the entire point. I mean, especially with the urgency, I mean, with what you guys do with the SolarButterfly and, you know, the energy transition we need to make, the climate crisis. Our generation cannot afford to wait 30 years until we're the same age as these aldermen or municipal members or, you know, UN diplomats to meddle into the discussions, because by then it will be long past the point where those decisions can prevent, you know, the catastrophes that we're trying to avert with climate action right now. So
I think a lot of people in our generation really feel that rush.
Yes.
To make the change now.
Urgency, huh?
Yeah, to not wait to make a career, to really start now.
Yeah, in the past, maybe sometimes the idea was to work for a while, get a certain, you know, success, maybe take care of the family financially, and then maybe get involved in those kind of issues. But it sounds like your generation is not so interested in waiting and sees the urgency. I mean, it's getting warmer now. It's 1.5. Is it going to be 2.5 degrees? And the Butterfly project, our SolarButterfly, is all about showing, hey, we have the solutions now. And I'm sure that's what you guys are pushing for, right?
Yeah.
So, hey, the solutions are there. We just have to.
We just have to make the choice to do it.
Yeah. That's okay. And you're also involved. You've been quite. I mean, you finished your work with the UN or being a young ambassador. That was a 2-year mandate you had.
Indeed.
What have you been doing since then?
A lot and very little studying and a lot of indeed climate work. But one of the things I've been focusing on a little more is really focusing on the corporate sector within the Netherlands specifically right now, but we want to scale it broader internationally to see what sort of changes can be made in there. Because that's also a sector that has one hell of a job in terms of making a transition towards more sustainable practice.
Focusing, what does that mean? Can you be more concrete?
I can. And now, before people tune out, because I know what I'm about to say is going to sound extremely boring. Yes.
2 sentences.
The accounting system, for example, that companies use. Now, before people say that's boring and don't want to hear it, it's actually really interesting. You know, the sort of standards and rules that we have set for companies on what they have to report on. Solely financial value. If you look at the profit that a company makes, you know, they get their money, their revenue, they pay their expenses and they're left with profit. If you look at the requirements for those expenses, they only have to pay financial expenses. They don't have to pay a penny for deforestation, for toxins and chemicals released into the atmosphere. If we were, for example, to focus on changing that, and there are actual institutions that make these rules, and we were to say, you know, companies should also pay for the impact that they have on the environment or on society, that would have such a massive impact. We could literally change the entire definition of maximizing your profit, because then it would be literally within their interests, you know, to lower their environmental costs if they want to maximize their profit. So that's an example.
Yeah,
like that.
It should not be free to pollute.
Right, and it is right now. Yeah. But another thing is that we also try to get more young people in these corporate boards. Which is the same experience I had with you, and a lot of people say, oh well, wait until you're 40 or 50, because that's I think the average age in the Netherlands for supervisory board members is 60 years old. That's way too late to for us to make an impact on the urgent crises.
So we're here now in Schwencke Beach, right here. That's where we're located. We took some pictures in the background to show everybody how does this fit into some of the work you're doing? Have you been, you know, how environmentally focused or climate aware is this area?
Yeah, so The Hague has a couple of climate targets. They want to do the energy transition by 2030.
Not bad.
So that's sooner than most.
Yeah.
But
Not
also,
fast enough, or
that's just my opinion, but it's definitely faster than most cities. And specifically in this part of the city, Scheveningen, it's by the beach. And there's going to be a lot of heat troubles here. There's already certain days in the summer that we didn't experience, say, 20 years ago, but that now, just a few days a year, it's too hot here for tourists. It's just unbearable out here, and that's a clear incentive for the city, because if tourists don't like it here, there goes the money.
Right.
So there's a bunch of climate adaptation measures that we can do in this part of the city to keep this a fun place for everyone forever.
Cool.
I really appreciate meeting you guys today. I know you were doing a lot of interviews in Dutch, of course,
Right.
for the general public here, traveling, walking by here. So amazing.
Thanks.
You should check that out as well. Can they find it somewhere?
I think they can
yeah?
through the municipality, perhaps. So
I think so. Yeah. How about we link it in the
we can
YouTube
provide a link
description?
there.
Yeah, cool.
And generally, maybe even provide links so they can follow the work you're doing here. We can connect you with a broader community and connect and understand what you're doing here. And
Yeah.
such a pleasure to meet you both and
Thank
introduce
you.
of course, to the Solar Butterfly community.
Yeah.
So
And one big shout out to the Solar Butterfly community, indeed, because
Yeah.
it's great to see the work that you guys are doing.
Thank you so much for visiting The Hague.
absolutely. Thanks you guys for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the new format. We're always changing it up, trying to make it interesting. So, and of course, you guys bring the energy. So somehow there's an energy in the air today on a Saturday. Beautiful day. Thanks so much. See you guys soon.
Bye bye.
Bye.